I surprised my husband on Valentine's Day, but found him proposing to his black maid. My name doesn't matter right now. What matters is what I saw on February 14th, the day I thought would be the best Valentine's Day of my life. Instead, it became the day my whole world cracked open, the day everything I believed about my marriage turned to dust in front of my own eyes. I want to tell you this story slowly, exactly how it happened, because every piece of it still feels like a knife twisting in my chest, even now, months later. I promise you, by the end of this, you will understand why I had to share this with someone. Maybe with you, sitting wherever you are right now, maybe folding laundry, maybe drinking your morning coffee, maybe lying awake unable to sleep. Wherever you are, I'm glad you're here with me for this. I had been married to my husband for 26 years. 26 years of birthdays, holidays, grandchildren, sicknesses, hospital visits, and quiet Sunday mornings with coffee on the porch, watching the birds at the feeder, talking about nothing and everything at the same time. We built a life together, brick by brick, year by year. I thought I knew this man better than I knew myself. I could tell you his favorite meal, the way he liked his eggs, which side of the bed he slept on, how he hummed old songs when he shaved in the morning. I thought there was nothing left to discover about him. I was wrong. So wrong that even now my hands shake a little when I think back on it. That year I wanted to do something special for Valentine's Day. My husband, let's call him Robert, had been working long hours at his office. He kept saying he was tired, stressed, needed space to think. I didn't question it. When you've been married as long as I had, you learn to give your husband room to breathe. You trust him. That's what marriage is, isn't it? Trust built over decades, like a wall you believe can never be broken, brick by brick, year after year, until it feels as solid and permanent as the ground beneath your feet. So I planned a surprise. I wanted to show up at his office with his favorite meal, a bottle of wine, and the card I had been writing for a week, trying to find the right words to tell him how much 26 years meant to me. I even wore the blue dress he loved, the one from our anniversary trip to the coast, the one that still smelled faintly of the perfume I wore that day. I felt young again, driving to his office that evening, humming a song from our wedding day, my heart light, my mind full of hope. If you're watching this and you've ever felt that flutter in your chest before doing something special for someone you love, you know exactly the feeling I had. That hope. That innocent, trusting hope that comes from decades of believing in someone. Hold on to that feeling for a moment because I want you to remember it clearly. I want you to feel exactly what I felt before everything changed in the space of just a few seconds. I parked outside his office building. The lights were mostly off except for the window on the third floor, his office. I remember smiling, thinking there he is, working hard, and I'm about to make his whole day. I took the elevator up, holding the food container close to my chest like a treasure, careful not to spill a drop. My heart was racing, not from fear, but from love. Real, deep, 26-year-old love, the kind you think nothing can touch. When I reached the door, it was slightly open. I could hear voices, soft voices. I remember pausing, my hand on the door, and something inside me, some quiet whisper, told me to slow down. But I didn't listen. I pushed the door open just a little more. And there he was, my husband, on one knee. In front of him stood Angela, a kind, hardworking woman who had been helping us at home for almost 4 years. She cleaned our house, sometimes cooked for us when I was traveling to see my sister, and always greeted me with a warm smile every single morning. She knew about our anniversaries. She knew my favorite flowers. I trusted her completely. I liked her. I never once imagined this moment, not even in my worst nightmares. Robert was holding a small box. Inside it was a ring. Not just any ring, my grandmother's ring, the one I thought had been lost years ago, the one I cried over for weeks when I couldn't find it in my jewelry box, the one I searched for under furniture, inside old coat pockets, in every drawer in the house, until I finally gave up and grieved it like a small death. I stood frozen in that doorway. My food container slipped from my hands and hit the floor with a loud crash. Both of them turned toward me at the same time. Robert's face went pale, the color draining from him instantly. Angela stepped back, her hand covering her mouth, her eyes wide with something between shock and shame. I want you to imagine that moment with me. 26 years of marriage. A grandmother's ring you thought was lost, now in another woman's future. Your husband on his knees, not for you, but for someone else, in the very place you came to surprise with love and gratitude and 26 years of devotion. If a story like this has ever touched something in your own heart, whether it happened to you or someone close to you, I want you to do something for me right now. Press that subscribe button. Not just for me, but for every person out there who has ever trusted someone completely, only to find out the truth in the worst way possible. This channel exists for us, for people who have lived through real pain and real betrayal, and who deserve to be heard no matter how many years have passed, no matter how old we are told we've become. Now let me continue, because what happened next left me speechless for days, and honestly, some of it still doesn't feel real when I say it out loud. Nobody said a word for what felt like forever. The office was silent except for my own breathing, shaky and uneven, echoing in my ears louder than anything else in the room. Robert finally stood up, the ring box still in his hand, his eyes wide with something between fear and shame. Angela quickly grabbed her coat from the chair and said she was leaving, her voice trembling as she apologized, though I couldn't even process her words at that moment. Everything sounded far away, like I was underwater, watching my own life happen from somewhere outside my body. I remember asking only one question: how long? Robert didn't answer right away. He just stared at the floor, like a little boy caught doing something terribly wrong, unable to meet my eyes. Finally, he said the words that shattered whatever pieces of trust I had left. Almost 2 years. 2 years of birthdays, 2 years of holidays, 2 years of anniversaries where he looked me in the eyes and said he loved me. 2 years of me trusting this man completely while he built a secret life right under my roof, right inside the walls of my own home, the home we built together with our own hands and our own money and our own hopes for a peaceful retirement. I want to ask you something. Have you ever discovered that the person you trusted most had been living a double life for years, right in front of you while you had no idea at all? If this story is stirring something painful inside you, please don't carry it alone. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it too. Sometimes the person watching beside you has a story just like this one, buried deep, never spoken out loud, waiting for permission to finally be heard. I left the office that night without saying another word. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember parking the car. I only remember sitting in my living room, staring at the wall, holding that blue dress fabric between my fingers, wondering how 26 years of my life could crumble in front of me in less than 5 minutes. The clock on the wall kept ticking, so ordinary, so unaware of how everything had just changed. The days after were the hardest of my life. Robert tried to explain. He said Angela had been kind to him during a lonely period, that things just happened over time, that he never meant to hurt me. But explanations don't erase betrayal. Words don't put back together what trust once was, no matter how gently they're spoken, no matter how many times they're repeated. I found myself asking questions I never imagined I would need to ask at my age. Questions like, was our whole marriage a lie? Did he ever truly love me, or was I simply comfortable, familiar, someone he stayed with out of habit while his heart quietly drifted elsewhere year after year without me ever noticing a single sign? I want to pause here and ask you something important. If you've ever felt that fear, the fear that maybe you weren't truly seen or loved the way you believed you were, I want you to know you are not alone. So many people who have lived long, full lives carry this same silent wound, tucked away, never spoken about at dinner parties or family gatherings. That is exactly why stories like this matter. That is why I need you to hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't already. Because this channel is a place where we talk about real pain, real betrayal, and real healing, without judgment, without shame, and without pretending that getting older means we stop feeling things deeply. In the weeks that followed, I learned more painful details. Angela had been struggling financially, raising 2 children on her own after her husband passed away suddenly a few years earlier. Robert had at first simply tried to help her, paying for small things, extra hours, kind gestures here and there. But somewhere along the way, kindness turned into something else. Something that broke every vow he once made to me at our wedding altar in front of our families, in front of God. I don't say this to place all the blame on Angela. She made her own choices too, choices she will have to live with in her own way. But I understood painfully that loneliness and vulnerability can sometimes lead people down paths they never expected to walk. Still, understanding doesn't erase the hurt. Understanding doesn't undo betrayal. It just gives it context, and sometimes context is the only comfort we get. My children were shocked when I told them. My daughter cried on the phone for almost an hour, unable to form full sentences between her tears. My son wanted to drive over immediately and confront his father, his voice shaking with anger I hadn't heard from him since he was a teenager. But I asked them to give me space first, because I needed to process this in my own way, at my own pace. 26 years doesn't disappear overnight, even when trust does in a single moment. There is something I want to share with you now, something that changed everything for me. About 3 weeks after that night, I found the courage to sit down with Robert face to face and ask him one last question. I asked him, "Do you still love me?" He looked at me, tears in his eyes, tears I hadn't seen from him in years, and said something I will never forget. He said, "I don't know who I am anymore. I got lost somewhere along the way, and I hurt the person who never deserved to be hurt." That answer didn't heal me, but it gave me something important. It gave me clarity. Because a real answer, even a painful one, is worth more than a lifetime of comfortable lies, more than years of pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. If you are someone who has ever had to ask a painful question like that, just to get clarity, just to finally understand the truth, I want you to know something. Asking is brave. Facing the truth, no matter how much it hurts, is one of the bravest things a person can do at any age. And if this story is helping you feel less alone right now, please leave a comment below and tell me your own story. I read every single one, and I promise you, your voice matters here just as much as mine does. In the months that followed, I made a decision that surprised even myself. I decided to leave. Not out of anger, though anger was there, sitting heavy in my chest most days. Not out of revenge, though a part of me wanted him to feel even a fraction of what I felt that night, standing in that doorway with my food container shattered on the floor. I left because I finally understood something simple but powerful. I deserved to be loved fully, honestly, without secrets hiding behind closed office doors, without a double life running quietly beside my own. Robert asked me to stay. He said he would end things completely with Angela, that he wanted to rebuild what we had, that he was willing to do anything to fix this. But 26 years of trust cannot be repaired with a single apology, no matter how sincere it sounds in the moment. Trust, once broken this deeply, needs more than words. It needs time, and sometimes it needs distance to even begin healing at all. And at my age, I realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my years wondering, doubting, questioning every late night at the office, every quiet moment of distance between us, every phone call that lasted a little too long. So I packed my things. I moved into a small apartment near my daughter's home, a modest place with a little balcony where I could sit in the mornings. It was hard at first, terribly hard. Some nights I cried myself to sleep, missing the home we built together, missing the man I thought I knew for over 2 decades, missing the version of my life I thought I would always have. But slowly, something inside me began to heal, quietly, gradually, like a wound that finally stops bleeding. I started taking morning walks around the neighborhood, just me and my thoughts and the sound of birds waking up. I joined a small book club with women my age who had lived through their own struggles, their own heartbreaks, their own versions of betrayal and loss. I began to remember who I was before I became simply Robert's wife, a woman with her own dreams, her own opinions, her own laughter that didn't depend on anyone else's approval. I want to tell you something important right now, something I wish someone had told me during those dark early weeks. Healing doesn't happen overnight, especially after decades of shared life, shared memories, shared everything. But healing is possible, even after betrayal. Even after 50, 60, 70 years of age, when everyone tells you it's too late to start over, I want you to know, it is never too late to choose peace over pain, never too late to choose yourself. If this story has touched your heart even a little, I want to ask you for one more thing. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications. Every week, we share real stories just like this one, stories of betrayal, heartbreak, courage, and healing, specifically for people who have lived long enough to understand that life is complicated, love is complicated, and pain doesn't have an age limit, no matter what anyone tells you. As for Robert and Angela, I don't know exactly what happened between them after I left. I heard through mutual friends that things became difficult for them too, that guilt and complicated emotions made their relationship strained from the very beginning, as if the foundation itself had been built on something too fragile to hold weight. I don't wish harm on anyone. I simply wish honesty had been chosen from the start, instead of secrets that shattered 3 lives at once, including 2 innocent children who didn't ask to be part of this painful situation, who deserved better from every adult around them. Today, I live a quieter life, simpler in many ways, but somehow fuller too. I spend time with my grandchildren, teaching them things my own grandmother taught me. I write in a journal every morning, something I never had time for during those 26 busy years of marriage. I've learned to find joy in small things again, in sunrises, in a warm cup of tea, in laughter with old friends who supported me through the darkest nights of this whole ordeal. I still think about that Valentine's Day sometimes. I think about the blue dress, the food container that shattered on the office floor, my grandmother's ring in another woman's hand. But I no longer feel only pain when I remember it. I feel something else now, too. I feel strength. Because that night, painful as it was, taught me the most important lesson of my life. My worth was never dependent on being chosen by someone else. My worth was always mine to claim, no matter my age, no matter how long a marriage lasted, no matter how deeply I was betrayed by someone I trusted completely. If you've made it this far in this story, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. Stories like mine are not easy to tell, but they are even harder to carry alone in silence year after year, pretending everything is fine. That's why this channel means so much to me, and why I hope it means something to you too, whoever you are, wherever you're watching from tonight. Before you go, I want to ask you one final time. If this story moved you, if it made you feel understood, seen, or even just a little less alone, please subscribe to this channel right now. Share it with a friend who might need to hear these words today, someone who might be carrying a similar weight without ever saying it out loud. Leave a comment telling me how this story made you feel, because your voice, your experience, your story matters just as much as mine does. Life after 65 doesn't mean life stops changing. It doesn't mean pain stops finding us, and it certainly doesn't mean healing stops being possible. I found my strength after the most painful betrayal of my life, and if I found it, I truly believe you can too, no matter what you're carrying right now, no matter how heavy it feels tonight. Thank you for being here with me today, for listening to my story with an open heart, for staying with me through every painful detail. Until next time, take care of yourself, trust your instincts, and never be afraid to walk away from something that no longer honors the person you truly are, no matter how many years you've already given to it.